What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Lootbox Podcast. My name is Eric.
My name is Tom.
My name is Zach.
And we are welcomed with a guest returning to his second podcast, Brandon.
Previous friends.
Yes. We are the Nomads, and we are here to bring you another gaming podcast, our monthly podcast, coming a little bit later than intended. This is not an April Fool's joke, even though we are recording it on April Fool's Day. But we have sifted through the trash to bring you some pretty interesting gaming news to talk about today. We're going to start this off similar to how we started off last time, where we talked about hidden gems and more indie games that we had been playing. Haven't really gotten into too many lately. But there have been a few new games that have come out, some that were hyped, some that kind of backed in, and we're going to talk about them today. So I wanted to take the floor first and talk about a game that we've actually recorded for the channel to pretty decent reviews, and that is Sea of Thieves. It's a game that I first got introduced to it playing with James and Justin. Two other members of the Nomads who couldn't be with us today. And then we were joined later on by Tom and Zach. And out of all the sessions that I've played with this game, every single session has brought me something new. And it hasn't been, everyone complained about the game when it launched about not having a lot of substance, not having a lot of content, not having a lot of variety to play with. I don't necessarily disagree, but I also don't necessarily agree, because every single time I play the game, I find something new to do. And even the things that are repeated, they've still been extremely fun. In my opinion, Sea of Thieves is probably one of the best multiplayer games I've ever played. But it's also, by far, the worst single-player experience I've ever had in my entire life as a gamer, and I've played some really shitty games. And, playing that game single player is so frustrating because of all the different stuff you have to do. It's a blast when playing with friends, but it was a goddamn disaster trying to play that game by myself.
Now, I know that I have been on the opposite side of this board because, I agree. I've watched numerous YouTube videos and lots of reviews, and I agree that the dynamic gameplay is there, that anything can happen at any random time, but it feels like the developers, when it comes to non-player aspects of the game, they just went for the most basic, simple, and arguably laziest solutions ever. The main quests in the game that you do are basic fetch quests that almost every other game gives you in the tutorial and then quickly drops it. In this game, that's the basis of the entire game. There's no real progression. There's no real way to show, I'm this guy who's been the scourge of this server for a year and I have this ship and my crew and we look like we own the place. Every ship looks nearly identical. They all act the exact same according to their class. There's no personalization outside of, I think, a handful of cosmetic options.
I've heard they're trying to add sail customization. That's all I've heard.
Which, yeah, I think that's a good start, but it's my main issue is this was a $15 or $20 game. I would have already bought it, and I would be fighting tooth and nail to promote it. But this game, in my mind, in no way, shape, or form is this game worth $60. This feels like an early access title or something that just came off Steam Greenlight, not something that's being released for AAA price. I mean, if you look at, nothing player-related, there's one enemy type. It's skeletons. Skeletons with swords, skeletons with guns, or just skeletons with higher health pools. That's it. In the water, there's sharks. And I guess the Kraken, if you count that, and there's not even a Kraken in the game, it's just tentacles that spawn on the water. Because if you go underwater, you can't see anything, and people went into the files and deleted the ink. There's no Kraken. It just spawns tentacles that act like the Kraken. And for such a mythical boss fight, for such a well-known creature as the Kraken, you get nothing for beating it. It's such an unrewarding experience. We killed it. We just wasted 20 cannonballs.
You literally get an achievement that says you beat it, and I don't think you get any in-game stuff for it.
Oh, I didn't know there was an achievement. I forgot what achievements were.
Yeah, you get like an achievement that says like, "Hey, beat the Kraken."
I mean, yeah, that's cool, but like, I was like, oh yeah, we just wasted like 20-something fucking cannonballs on these tentacles and like nothing to show for it in any meaningful way. Like, I love how they tried to encourage the PvP aspect and how players kind of build their own stories, but it's a sandbox with very little sand and no tools to play with.
Yeah, if I can just cut in here.
Oh yeah, no, I was pretty much done.
I love the concept. The concept is fantastic.
Yeah.
The Pirates, PvP, massive multiplayer online. I'm not gonna lie here, Rare kind of messed it up. They had an idea, and I feel like they created a giant bowl and then completely missed when they were pouring the soup in.
Yeah.
I think is what happened. And now we're left with this giant bowl with a few spatters of really good soup on it. But there's way too much bowl and not enough soup.
Oh, absolutely. There's plenty of room for them to add stuff to this game.
Yeah, of course. I'm not saying they can't add anything, but for a base game and if I paid $60 for this game, I would be pissed.
Oh, I would be.
I got an Xbox Game Pass because I had a 3-month trial of it, and I'm testing it out. And it's cool that they're releasing new games on Xbox Game Pass, but
yeah, that's great.
Man, if I spent $60 on this game and I was looking forward to this pirate sim PvP, I would be uber upset.
I would be rioting.
I can definitely understand where all the hate's coming from for this game.
Yeah.
Rare should not have released a game like that.
Not for $60.
Like Brandon said, I like what you said about it. It feels like an early access game. It really does. It feels like a game that's in beta or alpha. And like if it wasn't beta or alpha and we got early access, like, oh, cool, this game has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
You know, but this is a fully released game for $60, and it's
not
like this, and it's just, yeah, this is not enough there to justify paying $60 for it. Even if it was $30, I would say give it a go. I would say it would be worth it for $30.
I can stomach 30.
Just for like the going out, the getting the chest, the fighting other players, the raiding boats
fun,
and stuff like that.
Being a pirate with your friends, it's all fun, and it's a fun game. It's just not a $60 game. It doesn't feel like a AAA title. It feels like it almost feels like an indie game, with like a cool indie game that I think Microsoft got their hands on it and said, "Oh, we can have an exclusive," and they kind of blew it out of proportion. And I don't think Rare was ready for that. You know?
Yeah.
So I think when Microsoft kind of put that pressure on them, it's like, you're going to be our first big AAA title release of the year, and we're like, we didn't make a AAA game. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm not blaming Microsoft for that either. Obviously, the concept sounded fantastic on paper, and it's by no means a bad game. It's just not so far of this year.
I mean, it's one of those games where I feel like the people you're playing with make the experience. Like, I did a live stream, and I think Brandon said you were in for a part of it. I did a live stream with some other YouTube friends, WGBS Podcast, Leply Plus, Dose of Dad. It was some of the most fun experience I've had with people that I'd never played with before. Like, we were going back and forth, and we made the experience. Like, the chat was all ROFLLs and stuff like that, and everything. And, people, everyone loved the game. They loved the experience that we were putting out there. But we made it fun.
Yeah, exactly. Streamers and YouTubers and stuff are loving it, and honestly, the only reason this game has any life right now is because streamers are loving it. Mm-hmm. Because it's really fun to play with your friends, and that's all streamers do. I want this game to be good. I want to say it's a great game. Actually, I can't give it more than a 5 out of 10. Honestly, from what I played it just feels so empty.
I'd give it
it could have been so full.
I'd give it a 7. I'm gonna give it a 7 just because,
I said, a 5 just for the lost potential.
Absolutely.
Honestly. It makes me sad.
I'll go 6.5. Like I said, the solo experience is garbage. I hate playing that game solo. I can't do it solo. I don't have fun playing it solo. It's a time waster solo. But you give me just one other person, and I can play that game for hours. I mean, I don't know how many times I stayed up till 4 a.m. playing that game with Justin and James. And it was so much fun, raiding the school forts and everything like that. The experience that I've had with it is why I give it a 6.5 to 7. But there is so much more they could do with this game, and if they just add a little bit to it, this game could easily be an 8 or a 7 or an 8.
I could see that. Definitely.
I agree. It's just not there now. You know.
Zach, how was your experience with the game? Because I know you played with us.
I mean, I think it's a great design, great concept, just very shallow, no depth. I mean, it does feel like an early access game, and the fact that it doesn't have any depth. But I mean, the quality of the content that's there is awesome. But the fact of the matter is that it incentivizes you to grind your own experience out, which isn't fun. I mean, today's games are more like fast paced, or crazy long story, or RPG or adventure games. So I feel like it's stuck between two cruel worlds, and it needs to pick.
That's fair. So yeah, so pretty much our kind of collective agreement is what they have in the game is fantastic, but they need more in the game.
Solid base.
Absolutely.
But that's all it is.
Yeah, that's basically it.
It's just a base, yeah.
And it almost makes it a little bit sadder because you can see what could have been.
Or it could be. I mean,
yeah.
Rare has been adamant that that they're not done with this game. So
yeah, I respect that. They might be able to inject new life into it.
The server issues at the beginning was my big issue.
Yeah, I heard about that.
The servers issues were hot garbage.
And it just shocks me that this always happens every time a major game is released. It's like you try to log onto the servers and it doesn't working. I'm like, what the hell are you people doing? You're AAA developers. Do you not expect your game to sell?
I don't understand it.
I don't get it. I mean, Ubisoft has done this. Activision has done this.
The only new game.
Big major companies have all done this, and it's like, I don't get it. Like, did you guys not think your game was gonna sell? It's like,
exactly.
there's not gonna be many people on opening night.
We're
good.
Or the only big title that I've played recently that I got brand new that played perfectly online was Monster Hunter. Capcom sold the shit out of that. But every other AAA title that I've played, it hasn't performed properly out the gate.
Once again, it just blows my mind. I'm like, what are y'all doing, man? Like, what are y'all getting AAA money for?
So moving on, Tom, what you've been playing a couple new games. What's been going on with you?
The big one I kind of broke down because my history with Far Cry, and yes, this is going to allude into Far Cry 5. Just bear with me for a second. I played Far Cry 3 off of a whim. I liked how it looked, and I had a lot of fun with it. One of my favorite games. It was fantastic. Probably the best open world game I've ever played. And then 4 came out, and I gave it a try. I'm like, oh, it's a sequel. It should be good. And it was not as good. I was not a big fan of Far Cry 4. And it entered its weird, edgy phase, the series, when Far Cry Primal came out. It wasn't bad. It was just, really niche. I did play Far Cry Primal, and it was decent. It was fun. It was cool, but it was like, what the hell is this, you know? I couldn't help but say that while I was playing it.
Right.
It's like, what the hell am I doing? Kind of stupid. Then Far Cry 5 gets nuts. And first of all, I love the fact that, you had these 2 exotic locations in Far Cry 3 and 4. You're in the mountains, you're on a tropical island, and now we're in
Montana,
which I think is awesome. It was great. When I first heard it, I'm like, that's amazing. And they said, oh, this is, a cult that is taking over this Hope County in Montana where you're going to be. And I'm like, oh, here we go. I knew people were going to get triggered over that. But
oh, yes, that was delicious.
I played 10 hours of the game, which I've beaten a third of it so far. Because it's actually pretty nicely even or cut out into 3 slices. And then a 4th slice. But, so it's nicely cut out and it's nicely, prepared for you, so it's structured, but in these different areas that you're in, you have so much to do. I think Eric was shocked, hey, you beat the first part yet? I'm like, no, I'm still on it. It's like, oh, you've been playing for 2 days. I'm like, yeah, I just beat the first part. So to be triggered over this game, the cult is clearly evil. A cult, even if you're, I'm gonna get kind of sketchy here, so bear with me as well, but. Even if you're a Christian or anything like that, a religious person, I don't think you should be offended by this game. This is the wrong side of Christianity. These cult people, this one in Far Cry 5 doesn't exist real world, but there are people on, that side that, share these sentiments, and if given the opportunity, would probably do this to her county. And but I want to say, like, they clearly flesh out, like, this is evil. This is the evil religious cult, and they're not good people.
Yeah, they're like the ISIS of
They're
Christianity.
sociopaths. They're psychopaths.
Yeah, like they're
Nice to see that they definitely fleshed that out in a way that you can clearly understand. And I mean, even in the first part I played, you team up with a pastor from Hope County who's against the cult. Even with this oppressive religious cult running over them, he still runs a church the right way, and he's a pastor. So I thought that was really cool. Like, the first thing that's like, oh yeah, I'm a pastor. I'm a real pastor. These people are sociopathic cultists, you know. So I thought that was really cool. And like, yeah, there's no reason to be triggered over this game in this story. Holy crap! I cannot stop looking at the countryside of Montana. So well done. Ubisoft definitely knocked themselves out, yeah, they definitely went to town on these graphics, because my God, it is a beautiful, beautiful game. From the trees to the water to the bears that like pushed you down and get into your face. That was happening. I was like, wow, you have really nice teeth. But yeah, so it's such a pretty game, and I've heard the Xbox One X version is like eons better. So Ubisoft is definitely taking the initiative from Microsoft to get in on this like HD super 4K anymore graphics. It's really pretty. As far as the story goes, it's I'm not going to spoil anything, but I've already said, like, we all know it's a sociopathic religious cult, and you're trying to rile up some kind of resistance against the cult. That's basically the game. And you're trying to uproot this cult right where they set their roots down. But it feels like a David versus Goliath kind of thing. Just like the other two games, except it's more closer to 3 because of the villains. And the villains are the entire Seed family, which is like led by Joseph Seed, who's the main antagonist, and all his siblings. And every single one of his siblings and Joseph Seed are unique, and they all have different like psychopathic personalities. They're all psychos. They're all like out their dome, but they're all uniquely out of their dome. You know what I'm saying?
Because I watched you play that portion of it with John Seed, and I thought John Seed was the main I thought he was the main antagonist.
That guy was twisted.
The way he was. So
he was the younger brother of the main antagonist. The main antagonist is even worse than him, by the way.
Well, yeah, from what I've heard, it seems like that Far Cry 5 continues the trend of, while your own character is either bland or basically has no personality, the character of the game is carried by the villains. Like, they're the interesting part of the game, kind of like how Voss was back in the day.
Yeah, but in Far Cry 3, this is where I think Far Cry 3 is a little bit better. The main character that you played at did have a little bit of personality.
Oh, they actually gave you some characterization.
Yeah, because like you get, and it's an old game, so I can talk about spoilers. If you don't want to listen to Far Cry 3 spoilers, skip past this part. But basically, you crash land onto an island, and you're on vacation with your friends and your brother dies in the intro sequence. And you kind of crash on this island. Your brother's dead. Your friends get captured by Voss's crew, and your character actually talks in that game too. This game, my character is yet to talk. So they kind of made it like a
mute protagonist.
Mute protagonist. Insert your name here. This is you.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
But Far Cry 3, I think, had a little. I don't know which one I prefer, to be honest. I think I'm gonna say I prefer the Far Cry 3 kind of style, just because I like story a lot, and I don't mind. I mean, I don't mind inserting myself into a character's shoes, but I feel like it's better when they have a personality that they already give you. I
mean, that's what Master Chief did.
Yeah, I mean, look how successful that was. And where was I? I was talking about the villains.
Yes, John Seed, and then his brother. The
villains are just insane. Like I said, they all like get in your face. It's all there's scenes where they capture you. There's scenes where they like talk to you over the radio, and you can just hear in their voice without even seeing them that these people are not okay.
They're not all there.
They're very like villainous, very intimidating, very frightening. If I do say so myself. Like I was kind of scared of John C. when I was in his little thing towards the end of his level. Once again, trying not to spoil.
All right.
But also, I want to point out one other thing, and I'm done talking about Far Cry 5. It's a great game. You should get it. If you ever like the Far Cry universe, you should definitely get this game. Because it's very, very good. It's a fantastic game so far. But I also want to point out the flawless execution that Ubisoft has, transitioning from like pure mayhem and chaos and like chaotic fun gameplay, and then transitions to this dramatic confrontations with the siblings and confrontations with Joseph, and it gets very like dark toned, and then it goes right back to this, we're blowing shit up with a bear following us and attacking people.
Cheeseburger.
And then it goes right to like, Joseph Seed is this evil cultist, and I just hung this person in front of you. You know, it's like, it's a great transition, it's a great contrast, and I think it's one of the best parts of the game.
What's really striking my fancy over today with a lot of April Fools like games with Rocket League having big heads and other games having things. I mean, what I've really gotten into is just playing Overwatch with my cousins. Man, I just love Overwatch, the aesthetics of it. Overwatch. I mean, it's amazing the depth of. It's kind of the opposite of Sea of Thieves. It's a game that has very little content, but it keeps you coming back because it's aesthetically pleasing. It's very well crafted. It's it's a well-rounded game. I mean, I haven't had a chance to play any new games. Based on what Tom's saying about Far Cry 5, I really want to try that out. Because I did watch some videos on the Xbox One X, and I got that. So I really want to try Far Cry 5 out, because that was one of the things that drew me to 3 and 4 was the antagonists. So, I mean, they're like what Brandon said. They're what drives the games, because you have something to shoot for. It doesn't. Some games try to emphasize the protagonist, and you have to fight as if you're like that guy, and you're going through the story as if you're him or her. And this game, it's like, hey, this is the antagonist, and he's doing these things, and I need to go through the game and figure out how I can get through each one of these obstacles, see what's next in the mastermind's grand scheme of things. So, same old, Rocket League, Overwatch, Rainbow Six.
And throw in random Fortnite on occasion.
Random Fortnite, PUBG.
So Zach, I'll ask you this: how about in terms of Overwatch, a lot of people have been saying that Brigitte is a meta changer, and that other things will have to be balanced in the next few patches because Brigitte's now in the game. Do you agree with that?
I mean, every hero in Overwatch has a counter. Hers is just once she gets up close and personal with you, she kind of blows you up, and she has kind of the effect that McCree had upon release. I mean, McCree was probably
he was broken.
The most.
He is a meta breaker for sure.
He could roll into any situation, hit you with his fan of knives, stun you, hit you with his fan of knives, and then roll, and then hit you with his fan of knives, and he could burst down any friggin' tank in the game, any healer, anything. So, I mean, hers is just going to take some getting used to. They just need to lower some of the times on her stuns, or lower the duration of the stuns, or increase the cooldowns on it. She can take some slight tweaking. I mean, my methodology behind what I would do if I was a developer releasing heroes is that I would have them come out slightly overpowered than underpowered, because if you underwhelm them, then people will never go back to them. You could buff them all you want. People still have that stigmatism about them. They're like, hey, like, he's always been weak. What's changed? Like, is that really going to change anything? Whereas if they come out strong, you can always tone it back down.
Yeah, I always like the release them super strong and then nerf them, and instead of release them super weak and buff them. And I contrast that to like Riot. The last couple champions have been really, really bad at release. They've had the hot fix. The last 2 champions, they've had the hot fix buff them on the patch that they were released in. I think I don't like that. I think that's a problem.
How did you mention that? Because there has been some criticism of Riot Games because it's different in League of Legends, because in Overwatch you get everybody for free. Like, they're released, play them, have fun. With League, you have to pay their in-game currency or real money. And so what they've been accused of is releasing heroes that have been overpowered, and then you buy them, and then they nerf
them.
Yeah. And then they nerf them a week later, and then you technically didn't get what you paid for, and they kind of gypped you. Now, I understand for balance reasons why they do it, but I can understand as a consumer, like Zoe. When Zoe was released, she obliterated anything she laid her hands on.
Yeah,
for like
Zoe was broken
weeks.
as hell.
But the thing is, it incentivized you to pay for her because hey, if you pay for her, you're gonna get this awesome champion.
Yeah, who just
and
deletes
now we're
people.
gonna
They
nerf
also
her.
they took their damn time nerfing Zoe, so maybe they were scared of that backlash that you were just mentioning.
I mean, yeah, that's probably. I think it's just a knee
It took them several patches. She was clearly, obviously broken.
Yep.
I mean, pick ban and pro play, like obviously broken champion, and then it took them like a month to actually put any meaningful nerfs on.
And see, that's why I look at Brigitte, or I'm just gonna call her Bridget. I've been playing ranked recently, but she's not available in ranked yet. She's available next season, so I'm not sure how the competitive players will play her. But I've seen her in some quick play, and she's decently strong for a support who can walk up and actually 1v1 people. Her main counter is just either long range DPS or Reaper, because she's a mini tank, and so anti-tank type heroes will do very well against her. Or if you can get a lucky snipe off with Hanzo or Widowmaker, because her shield is only, I think it was 500 health. Unlike Reinhardt's 2,000, so you can just pour bullets into it from long range. She literally cannot do anything about it.
The thing about that is like sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh no, you're good.
Reinhardt kind of relies on his shield. Like his entire kit is based around his shield.
Yeah.
Brigette's entire kit is not based around her shield. Although she has a really cool stun. I don't think she needs a stun, to be honest, when she has a 500 damage shield. I mean, I know. I feel like there's some tweaking that needs to be done to her before she gets like released to the pros.
I just think it's insane. I just think it's insane that you have someone that's literally a tank, a support, and a defender all in one piece, and somehow somehow you can beat her.
I mean, yeah. I mean, people are still really upset that Mercy is almost not viable anymore after they nerfed her into the ground.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that to Mercy. I know she was pretty linear for support. They're trying to give her some more meaningful gameplay opportunities, but like, look at Zenyatta. It's like you're saying Zenyatta has meaningful gameplay choices.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't understand why they focus so hard on Mercy.
And it's like, I liked the rework because it actually gave her some interesting choices on how you played her, and it was less, because I mean that was a problem in the meta where you would send your team in to die and then just boost in for a 5-man ult. That was a little stupid.
Then
so
everyone's well positioned for that. Everyone like hold their ults, go and die, and I'll just revive all of you, and then Reaper can ult when you're right among the team. And yeah,
that was
I can see that. I like
experience. Like, it defeats your will because one, you don't have sprint in the game unless you're
soldier.
Unless you're soldier. But so it already takes you a long time to get there as a defender. And she's pretty much like the ultimate sustainer. Like she could just not heal the whole game, wait for her to get her ult in the last push, and just revive everybody.
You can't hop your candy ass out of your base fast enough to stop the team from capturing your shit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you work so hard to ace them, and then suddenly, oh god, they're all back. Okay. You have to do what we just did again, and maybe you land like a sick combo, and like, oh, that should be a game ender. Then nope, heroes never die. That wasn't a game ender.
But now
I never hated. I wasn't one of the ones that hated the revive change. I thought that was necessary. The single target revive. I hate the fact that she has to channel for it to be successful.
Yes, like that is
that shit's annoying. I don't mind she revive one person, res one person, but don't like kneel next to them and go like, I'm going to revive you, and now I'm dead, and you're not even revived.
Yep. Because now not only did you nerf her, then you super nerfed her, and now she's almost not viable.
And the flippin' fuck is her ultimate?
Yeah, you just.
I'm gonna fly over your team and hit you with my pistol.
Oh, I mean, nobody ever does that. To be fair.
Farrah Light, calm down.
Yeah, she just nowadays, at least in ranked and even in quick play, she just flies around and heals multiple people at the same time. That's all she ever does. She never uses her
So I don't know what they're thinking with that new ultimate.
I mean, I like it because it gives her mobility that she desperately needs, to where she can get away from her main threats. But the infinite ammo, it's like that doesn't get used. Literally, I see nobody using that unless they're in the most desperate situation. Are you trying to make her like a combat medic? That sounds like a damage ult, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
you can fly above people and have infinite ammo. That sounds like if I told you that, that's got to be like an attack ultimate, right?
Yeah, it's what you would think.
No, it's actually a support ultimate.
But I like how her healing can chain to allies. That's really good. and then you used to be able to let's do a division template. You used to be able to you would revive someone, ult, and then it would reset your cooldown, and then you could revive again, and that was a good combo. And then they made it so that doesn't work anymore, and I'm like, why? Like, why do you hate Mercy so much? And the community has lost, like, if you go on the forums, they've lost any and all faith in the aspect of nobody listens to us. Like, the general consensus is that the Overwatch team does not listen to the community because they fucking rioted when they announced these changes. They rioted when they announced the Junkrat buffs.
How about we do anyway?
Yeah, like, it's basically the common consensus is that the PTR is just there to showcase new things, and 9 times out of 10, nothing the community says even matters on development.
That's interesting because, like, there are things like Riot has made mistakes in the past and they've reverted changes.
Yeah,
in the
takes them
past.
forever to do it, but yeah.
I haven't seen any reverts even talked about for Overwatch.
To be fair, it did take Riot like almost a decade to put sandbox mode in the game.
True. And also, like,
oh god,
like who had, I know LeBlanc is getting reverted. Kog'Maw was a big one. They got reverted.
Sure.
Like, yeah, he's not in we tried to put him in a more balanceable state, and he's not in a more balanceable state.
And then they reworked Rise like 3 times.
We're not going to do that. And then Rise is still a problem child, but that's not the topic of conversation. As far as being in a balanceable state goes, he's really hard. They've released like so many dev vlogs about like why Rise is so like hard to balance. I'm like, stop making him like this.
I know.
It's like, oh, he's really hard to balance. You made the hero.
It's like they shot themselves in the goddamn foot and then said 2 weeks later, it's like, I wonder how this hole got here. Why is this hole still in my foot?
Like, you created
Let's do a dev blog.
You created this monster. Fucking realize it.
But yeah, I don't know. They just keep like doing weird things to Rise. I think he's fine right now. There's places in his kit they can balance him more, and he's definitely more balanceable than the previous version. But
okay.
Yeah, I know. Wait, was there another big one I'm missing as far as the reverts went? I know Kog'Maw was a big one.
Malzahar got a slight revert.
Malzahar, yeah, that's the other one I was thinking of.
His rework was actually really good. Like,
yeah, his rework was good, and then they're like, you know what? I think he's slipping too far back into the support category, and we want him to be like this kind of, I'm going to pick one of you, and I'm going to make sure you die.
Well, it's because Malzahar used to be so good at, like, you know, you hit the combo, you hit your ult, they're dead. And then when they changed
now
him...
Now it's kind of like he needs help now, is what the changes were. And that's why people hate him as support all the time.
I mean,
because I can hold him in place, but I'm not doing any damage to him.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I play brand support, and that shit is spicy.
Yeah, it is. Brand support is...
It's delicious. It's like he was made for it.
It's cheesy as hell.
It feels like he was actually made for it.
Yeah. But
just because of his ult.
Moving on, Brandon, did you have any games that you've been playing recently you want to talk to quickly?
I have a 3DS for those who don't know, and I've been getting into Animal Crossing New Leaf recently. Yes, I know that's an older one, but according to what I've heard, it's currently the best one. It's a quaint little game. It has its usual adorableness. You have your little helper, Isabelle, and it's actually been pretty fun because, like, to my knowledge, in the previous Animal Crossing games, you never really influenced the town outside of you paid your money to the local, mob boss, Tom Nook, and he upgraded your house after a while, and then that would have effects on the town. But you never felt like you could influence your community. Well, now that you're a mayor, once you go through the little tutorial and you get the citizen approval, like, I'm currently working on a public works project to build a fountain. I might build some bridges later to go over so it'll be easier to get over the river in the middle of the town, because you can choose your town setup at the start of the game in a way. And it adds a new level of depth and, like, freshness to the gameplay when you can physically interact with the world and put stuff almost wherever you want. It makes you more attached to your city, and you can see the world kind of morph around you in a sense, to where after I've paid off my first loan payment, and now I think there's a new store being built in the marketplace, and later on I hear that some of the stores are gonna expand, because this has characters you've seen in previous games. Like, Tom Nook doesn't run his store anymore, Nookington. His nephew Tommy does, And I believe Timmy is going to own part of the expansion when that place gets bigger. And the Able sisters make a return. And if anyone remembers Tortimer, who used to run the town in the previous games, you meet him as a character later on, but he's retired. He's on vacation on an island that you can go visit where it's like summer all year round and you can get rare stuff there, I hear. I haven't gone there yet. But it retains the charm. And I think even though it's a quote-unquote an old game, if you just want like a cool time killer to invest some stuff into and build your own little town, it's definitely worth it. Outside of that, I think a month or two ago, Waking the Tiger released for Hearts of Iron 4. The community reception has been mostly positive, a little mixed, because most of the features released that are really good mechanically aren't part of the DLC. They're part of the free patch for everyone, which is good. It's good that they're not locking game features behind a DLC paywall. But then you look at what does it offer. I think it's still solid. If you want to spicing up the Asian theater with the Japanese focus trees and the new Chinese focus trees, it's pretty solid, worth it. And then you get a Monarchy Germany focus tree where you can revive the Kaiserreich. And surprisingly, that is very strong. You can turn Germany into a naval powerhouse to kick Britain's teeth in after a civil war with the fascists. But outside of that, that's pretty much all I've just been doing lately.
Alrighty. So I want to get into a few news stories. Two big ones that I've seen, and then followed by a really big one that could be huge implementations for Twitch. But before we get there, I want to talk about one. This was published yesterday, Saturday, March 31st, from Sunday Express, a UK site. It was talking about the Nintendo Switch. Two huge, big shock rumors for Pokemon fans following the Super Smash 2018 release. One of the big things talks about a Pokemon Switch RPG launch that is linked to a 2018 release date. People have found files for a big announcement supposed to be planned in June. They assume it's E3 or whatnot, but it's supposed to be a Pokemon Switch release, and all signs are showing all these leaks have been referencing a 2018 release date. It's just been kind of hit or miss, but most of them are in the fall time. A Pokemon Switch RPG title, do you guys think that this is like the 3DS versions of the games, but in a Pokemon Switch style, or do you think this is a completely new tag?
I think it would be really cool to have like a third person view when you're walking around instead of like the aerial view that we're used to. I think that would be kind of neat. The battles don't have to change that much, just update the graphics. Because like the Sun and Moon X and Y battles were like what they needed to do to update it. These kind of Pokemon Stadium-esque battles that they started doing, and they're really nice. And honestly, this is one of the reasons why I bought a Switch. And I didn't think this project would come out until like 2019, like fall 2019. And I thought we were going to get some kind of like re-release this November for the Pokemon game. But yeah, this was really cool. If this is true, I'm super pumped for this. That's one of the games on my radar, and like the Switch kind of gave us the Pokken tournament game to kind of hold Pokemon fans over. And yeah, now this if this comes out this year, it's gonna be gigantic for Nintendo and the Switch.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I'm reading on here now that I'm reading this site, the other really interesting thing is Nintendo apparently put in a patent early in March and there's not a lot of details on this, but they've showed some designs for their new trading cards that have NFC tech implemented in the back of the card, like an NFC reader. Now, why that could be interesting is you have the amiibos that are related to the Pokemon Switch and stuff like that. What if Pokemon is trying to do something similar that is exclusive to them using their trading card game that is at all-time high popularity? I follow Big Jiggly Panda on YouTube, who's a hilarious gamer in general, but he does a whole Pokemon series that gets on average 40 to 50,000 views an episode, which is huge for a trading card video. So implementing NFC technique, which is similar to what the cell phones can do when you put the cell phones back to back and they transfer data that way, basically the cards would work the same way if the rumors are true. That could be a huge thing because now you're capitalizing on your trading card game rising in popularity. You're capitalizing on that while strengthening it, and you're implementing something else you can do with the game. That could be a huge thing.
That's a very interesting and very meaningful connection that they're trying to make, if it's true, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a whole lot of
Zach's
things.
down there like, what's a Pokemon?
Hey man, I don't play it that much anymore. I haven't played it since probably like I don't know.
Yeah, I tried Moon. I couldn't finish it.
Yeah, but again, I'm going to post all these links to all these stories in the description down below, so take a look at them so you can read them for yourself. The next story I want to talk about, this one might pique Zach's curiosity. We were talking about it before we started this thing. Google is talking. This is an older report. This is from February, but it's something that just popped up on my computer earlier on the trending page because Xbox responded to it. But Google is set to launch a gaming console and streaming service called the Google Yeti that is hoping to rival PlayStation and Xbox. Google, as many people know, is obviously the gigantic, massive giant. They have the money to make this work. This isn't some startup campaign. This is a mogul giant that is trying to get in on this. Google succeeded with the phones, so maybe they can succeed with the game system. But pretty much their mindset behind this is rather than selling a hard copy, you would pay a certain amount like Netflix. So you pay your monthly bill, and then you get unlimited streaming. As many games as you want to, you can do it. And it'd be on their own game console. They're on their own game console. What does Google have to do to make this succeed? And what do you think Google's, percentage of success do you think they might have on this? And I'll start with Zach since he's been quiet today.
I think this is them just trying to throw their hat in the conversation, and I think if you had to put a percentage on it, it'd probably be like 10%. I mean, it's an established market that has 3 consoles that are giants in this market, and I don't see how Google can try to carve a niche out of the market. I mean, there's already services like what they're trying to offer that already exist in EA Access and the Games Pass, and there's too many competitions for it. I think it's just wants to try to get a piece of the market share because it thinks it can do that because it's Google, but I think it's going to be tough sledding trying to get in there.
Tom, what do you think?
Honestly, I'm going to have to agree. I mean, these are very established companies. This feels like Google taking a very risky investment, and trying to force their way into a market. When the last time a new thing came up in the gaming console market was when Sega went under as far as game consoles go, and Microsoft kind of inserted their Xbox in there, and they became one of the big 3. But it's really hard to put yourself into a place that doesn't have any a hole for you. You can't put a puzzle piece on top of a completed puzzle and say it's successful. And yeah, unless one of those puzzle pieces goes away, but at this point, like Nintendo's at an all-time high in stocks, they're not going anywhere. Microsoft is doing well with their PC gaming implementation as well as their Game Pass, which has been a big success so far, and still there's still more new things to come on that. Sony's doing just fine with all their exclusive titles, and the PlayStation 5 rumors circulating now, and the speculation that's going to be announced at E3. So these 3 companies are doing absolutely fine, and there's no place for Google to just kind of slide into this picture. I don't see it. I think I agree with the 10 to 15% chance that this is successful. I don't think they should even try, honestly.
I mean, a part of me says, I want to applaud them for trying, because innovation, or at least attempted, is usually a good thing. And
because even if it fails, it's going to push the market forward.
I mean, yeah, and Google is already a household name. Literally nobody does not know who Google is. So I guess now that I think about it, they technically have a jump start when it comes to their console, because when Xbox first came out, everyone thought of Microsoft as, a PC thing. but they knew who Microsoft was generally. When Sony came out, who the fuck's Sony? When Nintendo came out, well, who the fuck's Nintendo? But everyone knows who Google is, and that could be almost a sort of type of consumer trust to where it's a name they know, it's a name they've relied on, it's a name they use. And even if it fails, this is Google. As long as they don't invest overly too much into it, it's not going to hurt them in any major way.
Right.
It's an experiment.
Yeah. And for me, I worked in Verizon for almost 2 years. And I worked in Verizon when Google announced the Pixel. And my first question is, why is Google trying to force themselves into the market? I mean, you have Samsung, LG is rising, Apple is Apple, they're not going anywhere. Motorola is making a comeback with the Moto Z and the Moto mods. What is the Google Pixel going to bring that the other ones don't? And pretty much what the Google Pixel made a name out of itself was being the Apple of Android. A very simple design, very clean, very marketable, streamlined system, very clean display, limited storage photo. So, it basically became an Apple phone with an Android operating system. And so it pulled a lot of Android. Android users went to the Pixel because it was Google, and Apple users went to the Pixel because, hey, I can now get an Android and I don't have to deal with all the extra crap that LG and Samsung puts on their phones. The only way that this Google Yeti is going to work is if they follow a similar model with their design. I think Zach mentioned before we started, it's going to have to be a lot cheaper than the Xbox and the PS5 are going to have to be. If it's at the same price, forget it. It'll never work. Because why would you pay that much money for a project that may or may not pan out when I can buy a PS5 or the new Xbox or whatnot and get a product that I know, well, at least I'd hope, is going to work out properly. The streaming service, PlayStation has PlayStation Now. Xbox has Xbox Game Pass, EA Access. So, again, the only way it's going to work is if you make it cheaper, because we live in a society where the cheapest thing is what wins. The Xbox, like for right now, obviously, again, I'm using UK sources here. This is from The Sun. The PlayStation Now costs, I believe it's £12.99, I believe is what this thing means.
That's going to be about $10.
Yeah,
it's
so
$10.
PlayStation Now is about $10 for you American dollars. So...
Which is the same thing as Xbox Game Pass. I mean,
so the only way that Google Yeti is going to work is if you make it $6.99 or $5.99 or something along those lines. Make it cheaper. So, okay, you can get our Google Yeti and you can get our system. You're getting the exact same products. You're getting the exact same games. And, but the problem is you're not going to have access to the exclusives.
Yep, the necessary evil of the industry.
The problem is... if you put in all these really good games that are available, it's going to cost Google money. Again, this is where Google could take the advantage of. Google has the money to design this to draw even for now. Once they have a footing, then they can go for profit. But they have the funding to, all right, we're not going to plan on profiting off of this. We're just going to try to break even. And then once we have our footing, then go for profit. Now, if they go that plan, the Google Yeti might work. But what do y'all think? Do y'all think if they go... What do you think, Tom, Jack, Zach? Do y'all think if they go that route?
I just think that phones and game consoles are two completely different audiences. I think you can more easily, it's a phone. Everyone needs a phone. Everyone buys a phone. Everyone has a smartphone these days. You're like, oh, cool, Google. You had your hands in tech before. You've had good laptop runs, and you've had this and that. Why not phones? Why not have a mini computer? Cool, that makes more sense to me. Gamers, and I'll be the first to say this, we're a very finicky bunch.
Yeah.
And I don't think the gaming community is something you can force yourself into, especially when it comes to new technology. Everyone loves household names. Everyone sticks with it. I mean, look at the console war still going on, and I have both consoles. They're both pretty much the same as far as performance goes. The Xbox One X is obviously their next generation one and has better performance than the PlayStation 4, but we haven't seen the PlayStation 5 yet. So, I mean, they're constantly competing with each other, and they have very loyal followings. I don't think this is going to be the same thing as I'm going to pull people away from Apple and pull people away from Samsung, because they're not as loyal. People jump ship all the time from phone companies and stuff. I've done it 3 times. Like you see a lot less people like say I'm gonna ditch my PS4 and go directly over to Xbox One and just play Xbox One the rest of my life.
As someone that worked in Verizon, you would be surprised how hard it is to get someone to switch phone companies. I'll just say that.
Well, that's because they've had success with them, which brings up the other point, which is like if you've had fun, if you've had success, like I've had no problems with my PlayStation. Why would I get a Google thing? Like I've had no problems with my Xbox. Why would I get a Google thing?
Yeah, they need to innovate hardcore, and they need to have like ridiculously killer exclusives.
They need deals with major developers to get exclusives,
Definitely.
Which is not going to happen because Microsoft and Sony are all over that market, and Google can try, but they're not going to have a lot of success, especially with these like Japanese companies that Sony pretty much has a monopoly over. You make games for us and no one else. And Sony kind of lives off those kind of exclusives that they have that Microsoft can't really get access to, or don't even have the opportunity to convince to make it for the Xbox. But yeah, I just think gamers are just so much more finicky than any other consumer base out there. Gamers are probably the most finicky and the hardest to get to stop what they're doing and look at something new.
Yeah,
I think another thing with phones and consoles is that phones they change by day, by day and night. Like they're very real time differences that happen on phones. Consoles, like their releases are not yearly. Their releases are over. That's why it's called a generation. I mean, phones have generations, but they're yearly generations. It's like a damn Call of Duty game. Like they come out every single year. You can always count on the next one coming out. But consoles, they stick. They take time. They're entrenched in the market. They don't get moved off their pedestal very quickly or very easily.
One thing I just thought of, what might be a saving grace for them if they can pull it off. It's going to be hard because you have to cooperate with the other big boys. If they can get, or at least ride the bandwagon of cross-platform play, so they won't be limited by exclusives, to where, well, first of all, like I said, they have to innovate. They have to make a killer console with amazing specs. Like this thing has to be as good or better than current gen. And then I would say cross-platform play. Push that. Try to put the pressure on the other companies, because that's a very popular thing among gamers, is that I don't want to be punished for purchasing the quote-unquote wrong console. So if you get good public goodwill by saying, hey, we want cross-platform play because we're the good guys, that could buy you some consumer goodwill.
That could be an angle in. I know Microsoft is open to doing that, and I also know Sony is not. So maybe Google coming in and putting that pressure on the market, maybe that will actually convince Sony to come over and start playing nice with the other devs. Maybe that's the tipping point we need to actually have cross-platform play on games.
Yeah, that's just one angle they could try to work. Just play the good guy, play the public defender, and then see how that pans out.
And Google has been pretty damn good at playing the public, the public good guy. So it'll be interesting. I mean, I want to see how it is. I'm just not that excited for it. I'm not going to say I'm pumped for it. I'm not even going to say it's going to be successful.
Yeah, it's wait and see.
That's a fair assessment.
It's a big wait and see right now.
So the big story that I feel like we can go 50 million angles on, but obviously I know we probably want to try to keep it to a couple main points. So this was announced the end of February, but it was really pushed last month and implement. And let me check on here. Is something that they did all of last month. At least it started. They did a big campaign from March 1st to today. That was supposed to spotlight. So basically, Twitch has done this extremely big announcement for female streamers that went on last month, and it is supposed to continue to carry on. It started at the beginning of March. Their live streams and their focal points ended today, but they've extended that further to the end of this month as well. And pretty much the gist of it was they're trying to close the gender gap in gaming. And there's been a lot of debate from a lot of different angles about whether Twitch has been sexist from this, because that angle's going to come out.
Naturally.
The other big issue has been, the grants range from $500 to $2,000. And the grants are designed to go towards equipment, better computers, better recording software, better headsets, better, purchasing, better programs, better softwares to better not only your streams but your YouTube work if you go that route. And it's meant to make it so female gamers kind of have that financial edge on the market that'll help them create an opportunity that they probably wouldn't have. They also prioritized female streamers for the front page, and that part is also going to carry on through the month of April as well. To my knowledge, there is no end date, at least from this site that I'm reading now. There is no end date for the grants, which means that shit's going to continue for as long as they can do it. It's the 1000 Dreams Fund Twitch broadcast HER grant, HER. So, like I said, a lot of different angles have been coming from whether it's sexist. A big issue that some people have had is that there's no minimum or maximum requirement to get this money. Obviously, anyone can apply. Now, obviously, the big streamers don't have much of an incentive to do so, but there really is no minimum either. So any person can walk off the street and go, you know what, I think I might want to be a streamer. I'm going to apply for this grant. Oh, I got $2,000. You know what? Fuck gaming. I don't want to do it anymore. Not saying that it's going to happen, but that is something that I don't know if it happened or not.
Yeah, the possibility of exploitation.
That exploitation possibility is there. So without a minimum, without this thing, and then obviously, there's always that debate on if the gender gap really exists or whatnot. And however, obviously, we probably all have different opinions on there. But what do y'all feel about this? For me personally, I love this. I love this concept. I understand the issues some people will have. And
can I just interrupt you for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry. I just wanted to, before we lose the previous topic that you were talking about the exploitation and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't they just, instead of just giving checks out, why don't you just buy a bunch of computers, have them waiting in a room for people to apply for them, and give people better computers, or have a bunch of free recording software, or not free recording, but buy a bunch of recording licenses and give people codes that apply for a grant. And in their application letter, you get to say, what are you struggling with to buy? What is the problem?
Well,
most people will say my computer is not good enough,
mm-hmm.
Or I can't afford this recording software, or I can't afford this editing software, and people are getting edged on me because of the editing software. Then you have that ready for them to ship to where they are, and that would be a good incentive, and boom, no exploitation, unless you sell the computer, but there's nothing you can do about that.
It also says on here that the grants are supposed to be used for conference travel, equipment upgrades, workshops, and other tools that align with the mission, the fund's mission. But, again, the big thing, so this is the big reason that they're doing it. So the goal is to help illustrate the gender gap women often face in specific fields, including streaming, which is predominantly male. A 2016 study reported that women make up 35% of Twitch's streaming landscape, and there aren't any females currently in the top 10 list. The other problem that you have, and this is something that I mentioned WGBS Podcast and my friend Lepidly Plus, I think I mentioned them earlier, but they did a big back and forth argument on there, and their big issue, WGBS Podcast, he tends to take the devil advocate route sometime, and he mentioned, a lot of female streamers are body streamers. They don't allow their gaming, they don't allow their, his argument was they don't allow their gaming and their personality to make them famous, they use their body for it, and I don't agree with that at all. I think they kind of have to, because people don't take them seriously. Yeah.
If you want an example, I don't know if the name Casey Tron sparks any memories here. If anyone knows that name. Because that's probably one of the big centers of this argument, because she's probably the biggest quote-unquote offender of that.
I haven't heard of her, no.
Okay, all right. So, Casey Tron. Now, I remember she used to stream League. I don't watch her regularly. I've only known her from other people's streams. She is basically the epitome of that argument, because it's hard to explain without sounding like a complete asshole. So, basically, with Casey Tron and other streamers, she's not the only one guilty of this. Like their quote unquote face cam takes up the majority of the screen. It's usually in scantily clad clothing. You can tell that 9 times out of 10 she is not even trying to play the game. It is just there to sell her. It's basically just a glorified platform to sell her body. And it's kind of an awkward place where streamers, like let's say, I think it was Uber Danger, who was a big, who's I guess technically still is a big League YouTuber. He makes funny videos on League, and from his streams, he got one of his streams, I think, what was it, demonetized or banned or removed because it had quote unquote sexually explicit content because he was playing with a mod, a modded League client, to where he was playing Singed, but it was a funny purple dildo instead of Singed running around, and it was hilarious. And yet he gets his stream removed from that, and yet you have numerous women on stream wearing barely anything, obviously not even trying to take games seriously or even be entertaining. It's just there to. It's almost like not a porn streaming site, but like those nude streaming sites, except without the full nudity.
Yeah.
It's just there to look how hot I am and send me money. And then there have been female streamers that have been caught basically. I think it was called almost like I think Total Biscuit and some others did a stream of this long time ago, where they'll basically promise quote unquote boyfriend applications where they'll basically incentivize their viewers to send them money and buy them gifts so that they can send them favors in return. And it's pure exploitation.
Favors.
Yeah, favors. Usually in the form of like, pictures and other things. Like it is complete exploitation of the audience.
Right. And obviously I want to preface this, but I want to first immediately say, because I know I'd be probably pissed off at people listening to this right now. We're not saying that that's the majority. It's definitely the minority.
No.
But,
no.
Yeah,
but like
you ruin it for the many.
Yeah. And so I think that's where some people are coming in with this argument of, the problem is when you break it down to it, and I'll let Tom go ahead and say this and go more in depth, but you look at the Pro League, and I'll let Tom explain it because he was mentioning it earlier.
You mean the Korean League?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I know, you guys can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but there's not, if there are any, there's not a lot of pro gamers who are female.
Not to my knowledge, no. Yeah.
That field is predominantly male. And
mostly.
Even talking about, like, even if there are some, like, there's some in Korea that are female and they play game. Well,
that's Korean.
Are they, like, top, though? Like, would you consider them, like, a top, like, big name in gaming? And I don't think you would.
Yeah, they're not like
look at streams, it's like everything on Twitch is like, that's male. Oh, there's one female that has, like, a third of the views of the top streamer. But honestly, I think this is awesome. It's really cool that they're doing this, but they need to have some way to check it.
Yeah, checks and balances.
I fear the exploitation. I fear what Brandon was just talking about with the kind of exploiting that to kind of use your body to get money and exploit people like that and exploit the platform and the grant at the same time. I fear that could happen, but they have to have some kind of way to keep in check and say, like, hey, we'll give you this grant, but you have to sign a formal agreement that says you can't do, or a legal document saying you can't use this for other purposes besides the stuff listed on this legal document. Yeah.
And those grants exist too. Like, there's a lot of grants that are like,
if you sign that document and you break it, and they find out that they have the right to check on and see how you're using their money.
No.
If you're not using it right, they can arrest you or charge you or fine you or whatever.
Yeah.
With exploitation.
And
so.
And that covers everything, because then the ones that want to use it properly and need it will be able to use it, and the ones that want to just exploit it and will have the option. But
and I didn't say this earlier because I'm focused on the. I meant to say at first that I like the idea. I agree with the premise because I don't watch a whole ton of Twitch streamers, but from what I've seen,
gotten really into it lately.
I have seen that it's mostly male. Now, some of that is choice. Some of that is probably just because they can't grow an audience. Because I agree, some of them aren't taken seriously. I have watched several female streamers, and you can tell that they're not taken as seriously as their male counterparts, and depending on the field. For example, Hearthstone is a little bit more forgiving because it's a card game. But if you go on, let's say the new Call of Duty, I doubt it'll be the same.
And I want to say, I've actually started following some female streamers that are fucking kick-ass gamers.
Yeah, and it's great.
Yeah, and that's
great for them to get
they do
publicity.
exist.
Oh yeah, of course. And like now, I mean, I made it sound a little awful. Like it's a little bit off topic, a little bit on topic. Just fuck it, controversy's nice. I'm not opposed to quote unquote selling your body. Like I'm pro prostitution being legal. I don't give a fuck. But if you're on a gaming platform, that's what you should be there for. You shouldn't be misusing a service for another type of service that it's not made to be used for. That's abuse of the system.
Yeah, like I said, this is a fine grant system. I think it's really cool. It's good incentives and all that, but you have to have some way to check it.
Yeah, you need checks and balances.
And like maybe they do. I mean, I'm a male. I haven't applied for this grant. I don't know if there's a legal document you have to sign.
Yeah, I'm not
What
sure.
about transgenders? Would transgenders be considered for this?
Oh, see, that I didn't even think about.
That's another angle that
I never even considered that.
Yeah. That's why I was hoping Ashley would be able to be here so she could give her opinion on it, because, the female mindset on here, because I feel like we had kind of figured this was going to be what we talked about before I figured out that Ashley wasn't going to be available. But, again, I want to hear what you guys have to say on this. This is obviously something that, yes, most of this has already kind of been happening. Like I said, I've gotten really into Twitch lately since I want to start becoming a Twitch streamer. So I've been following the front page a lot more, and I have definitely seen a lot more women on the front page. So the movement has been working. But
so I gotta say right now it's kind of funny. On the front page, I just pulled up Twitch. It's the Galaga Grand Finals. I want to watch this right now. That's amazing. It literally says Galaga Grand Finals. That's freaking amazing.
That sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah. But yeah. So obviously, we want to hear what you guys have to say on all these stories. If anything here piques your curiosity, please let us know down in the comments below. If you guys have a story that you want to see on our next gaming podcast. The last gaming podcast did really well. A lot of you guys watched it. A lot of you guys viewed it and enjoyed it. Didn't get a lot of comments on it. Didn't get a lot of feedback. So I highly encourage you guys to please put down in the comments which stories that you like. Debate with us. That's what we're here for. It's a conversation. And a lot of these are opinion pieces. So please let us know what you think down below. Hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed it. Hit that bell icon because we know YouTube is broken right now. So you'll probably won't see this unless you do that bell icon.
YouTube's been broken for 2 years.
YouTube's been broken for fucking 10. But
yeah.
But
it's
that,
something doing too much, something stay in your lane. I don't know.
Yeah. But that is about all the time that we have. Did anyone have any closing remarks that they wanted to add to any of the stories or anything else?
No, I think I'm good.
Again, there's a lot of different angles that we could have tackled this Twitch stream on, but our time is kind of running out here. So, again, a lot more we could talk about here, but that'll probably be it for right now. Tom, did you have anything?
Nothing off the top of my head, no.
Zach, anything for you?
No, I want to see how the arms race goes with PUBG and Fortnite over the next few weeks and months.
Well, that'll be interesting.
That's firing up real nice because every other genre didn't have a direct competitor. Call of Duty did not have a direct competitor. It just blew the market open.
Until
StarCraft
Battlefield came in.
Blew the market open for RTS. League blew the market open for MOBAs. This is the first time that this Battle Royale market has two front runners, and it's amazing because it is an arms race, and it's beautiful.
It's really, really fun to watch. I love, PUBG is going the route. I mean, Fortnite is just putting a lot of, silly content and fun content in their game, and PUBG is going the route, we're going to have, 5 new maps over the next year. Which I find, they're both approaching it from different angles, and it's, oh my god, it's like watching a chess match.
It's an arms race where they're trying to maintain their identities, and it's awesome.
It's gonna be so interesting.
I can hear all of the Dota players screaming at you for what you just said about League.
I know, but
I can feel their anger.
We can't understand them. So.
But
I don't understand what you're saying, dude.
Dota was kind of
the cheeky breakies are out in full.
Battlefield were before Call of Duty, and then Call of Duty was just like, look at all this new shit. Whereas League was like, look at this new shit.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, one set the stage, the other one blew the fucking top off the building. That's really what it is. Dota still has a great following. I mean, I like Dota a lot. It's very fluid, but it's a lot more complex than League is, and League is just more aesthetically pleasing and has a bigger following. That's just how it is.
Yeah. It's going to be beautiful for that. I'm waiting for that one commenter to show up. You uncultured swine! Dota
Let me tell you about Dota 2.
It's not even Dota 2.
I can't wait for the one that's gonna be like, did you really just say PUBG was even with Fortnite? Oh!
Whoa.
God damn.
This is the great triggering of our time.
I mean, the biggest example of it is the fact that Fortnite and PUBG both released mobile versions within 24 hours of each other.
That was crazy.
But they were both working.
PUBG didn't even like preview it or advertise it. It's like, yeah, we had this ready to go.
We were.
And they both have investments from Tencent to do the mobile version, so it's just Tencent's just sitting here licking his chops, man. It's like, oh, this is great. This is great.
We're rich,
them fight.
bitch.
From what I've seen, like on videos and playing a little bit myself, they're both great ports. So it's just fantastic, man. This is one of the few times where competition is truly benefiting the gamers, because usually competition, one just stomps on the other one. Now it's like these two are just surging ahead, and I can't wait to see Russia and USA go at it.
So, and now we're just waiting. We're just waiting for that one new feature that like one game does better than the other one.
Yep.
It's just crazy. Like the mobile version, both games were fantastic mobile ports. Okay, no winner there.
Yep.
I guess we're going to the next one.
I would just like to say that I had more kills in my one game of PUBG Mobile than I have in my entire career playing PUBG on any other platform.
All right, cancel the servers.
Fucking Eric's good at it. Eric's good at it. He finished second place in his first try. It's done. Crash it.
AI enemies. AI.
Kill it with fire.
AI
we got to put it in the.
Increase the difficulty. He figured it out.
Oh yeah, he forgot the exploits. Damn it.
But I believe that is it for us. We're gonna sign off here. My name is Eric.
My name is Tom.
My name's Zach.
And I'm Brandon.
And we will be back here in a couple weeks to talk about would it be the draft for the sports podcast?
Yeah, very, very quickly. It's the end of this month.
Yep,
yeah, that's coming up, isn't it?
Yep. So probably in a week or two, you'll probably have a sports podcast that we're gonna break down the draft and draft needs for the teams.
I have to get my big glasses and my Mel Kiper Jr.
Oh yeah. I just want you guys to know that if Josh Allen is not an NFL quarterback in 10 years, I'll quit my job. We're waiting, Mel Kiper, because Jimmy Clausen is not an NFL quarterback anymore.
He's not even in the league.
But yeah, so we'll have the sports podcast in a couple weeks. This one will probably go up probably either Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of this week. So expect somewhere in that same time span in about 2 weeks for the sports podcast, and then we'll be back at the end of this month or again at the beginning of next month for the gaming podcast. So we are the Nomads, and we will see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Peace.